So shout out to makeuseof.com. I'll leave a link down below in description to this article if you'd like to read it. Definitely recommend you do so. As today we're just going to glance over a lot of different things. But shout out to Bertel King for posting this article. Link down below to the description to their socials and all that kind of stuff if you'd like to check them out. As always, I like to try my best to support the artists as much as possible. I know I am looking at their article today. But I would not be just reading their article today. I'm going to be just kind of covering the major things and then kind of going on from there. So again, recommend. The 5 major drawbacks of flippable phones I didn't expect. Okay. See, when I see that headline, the first thing I think about is, number one, they're going to say something about the crease, right? I think every foldable, flippable phone, the crease is always the biggest thing people have issues with. Number two, I think they're going to probably talk about is the thickness of the cell phone. So when it is closed. Number three, they're probably going to say that they don't like the outside display and it's not as usable as it could be. Number four, I would expect they complain about the battery life. And number five, maybe software optimization. That's what I would guess the top 5 things are. Comment down below what you think the 5 things are before we look at the answers here. But those are the 5 things I would see. I see many people complaining about online about flippable cell phones. I feel like flippable cell phones, with them becoming a lot more affordable, a lot more people are, I guess, willing to deal with some sacrifices because of how cool they are and what they do give you. But number one, flips are awkwardly tall when opened. You know, yeah. Okay, so here's the thing, right? 6.9-inch display when fully open, the Z Fold series and the Motorola series. So this is very accurate. When you compare it to the fact that the S24 Ultra is 6.7 inches, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, I believe, is 6.7, 6.9 inches. It's not really that insanely crazy, but there are a lot of people who do not opt to go for, like, for example, if they're iPhone users, they don't like to go for the Max variant because of how big the display is. There are some people who don't like the humongous displays, but then there's other people who do. And I think when it comes to how awkwardly tall they are, it's just more screen real estate to be able to multitask and get things done. So while, yes, there might be humongous in your hands, the point is you're utilized for multitasking. That's why these cell phones have 12 gigabytes of RAM. Now the Z Flip series getting into that, swing of things with the 12 gigabytes of RAM. But that's really why. Number two, buttons are higher than you expect. Yeah, I mean, it comes down to two separate panels. If you look at just the top panel and don't look at the bottom panel, it's very even when it comes to the volume rockers and power buttons on the flippable cell phones. So I really didn't think they were going to complain about that, to be honest. I don't really think that's that big of a deal. Prepare to use 2 hands a lot. Yeah, I mean, there are some people who have mastered the idea of opening it up with 1 hand. But I think, again, this is more than just opening up the phone. You're going to have to use 2 hands. It's also the fact that, again, this foldable, flippable phones, not only are they cool because of, they flip, it's also for multitasking, gaming, stuff like that. So you're going to probably use 2 hands anyway. So I think that's kind of just a given at this point. The aspect ratio isn't great for video. When you're utilizing it in this way, it is not. But this is laptop mode. If you play it in horizontal mode, it's going to look absolutely fine. It's not perfect, but it's going to look really good. And there really isn't any issue. And you can also play video on the outside display, and it looks really good as well. But even the inside display, it still looks very good if you play it in non-laptop mode. The reason why laptop mode is a thing and why this whole situation you see on the screen is a thing is so you can not only play, pause, do that, all that kind of stuff. It's also so you can read the comic section. Some people like to read the comic section while they're watching the video. Or you can have two different applications. You can split up applications. You can have YouTube on the top screen, and the bottom screen you can be texting or emailing or whatever you do. So there's reasons why there are two like this. I don't really think it's a bad aspect ratio. It's just if you utilize it in this way and this is how you watch, you're probably going to dislike it. But at the same time, if you use a typical candy bar cell phone, you're going to have the same problem if you watch it in vertical mode. Like, I think everyone who has a candy bar cell phone, they watch their content, consume their content in horizontal mode, because then you're taking, full aspect ratio 16:9. So okay. It still feels clunky or chunky in my pocket. Yeah, I figured this would happen. Yeah, it's thicker than a regular cell phone, but it takes up less overall space. So while yes, it's going to be a little bit chunkier than a typical regular candy bar cell phone, it doesn't take up as much length as a regular candy bar cell phone. So it's, yeah. I mean, even then, these foldable cell phones, flippable, foldable, are so freaking thin. We're getting to a point now where it's not going to be that much thicker than a regular cell phone. So I think overall wise, I'm surprised they didn't complain about the crease. That's like the age-old thing people complain about with flippable cell phones. So I don't really see many of these as issues. I think some of these are, differences. I will say, I wouldn't say drawbacks. I would say these are things that people who are just getting into foldable, flippable phones might be confused about and might be like, oh, this is different. But you get used to a lot of these things really quickly. And the benefits outweigh all of these question mark type of situations. So I think overall wise, again, it's not that big of a deal. I still think flippable cell phones are amazing, especially for the price tag. Because foldable cell phones, I love them, but got to give your first born son at this point just to get one. Anyway, but flippable cell phones, not a big deal. I think they're very affordable. Motorola does a great job of releasing one that's $8.99 right now, and then the other one is around $6.99, which is very affordable for the average consumer to pick up one. But again, like I said, just my cup of tea and my personal opinion. Definitely tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. And do you have a flippable cell phone? Would you get a flippable cell phone? And if you had to complain about anything about them, what's your complaint? I'm really surprised battery life was not on there too. Although battery life is pretty good on flippable cell phones, but usually that's always a complaint. See you guys next one. Peace.